Today I want to talk to you about coping mechanisms for dealing with stress, and in particular one of the key coping mechanisms I want to discuss today is talking and therapy. So if you struggle with stress and you want to know how to control it a little bit better, keep on watching and listening, as this might be useful for you. Welcome back to consecutive day 1425 of a diary of a runpreneur. Please remember, if you believe in my mission of saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultra marathon of run vlogging, barefoot style, on consecutive days, the distance of a lap of the world, then do please give this a subscribe, share, like, comment. Any engagement reaches more people, raises more money, which ultimately saves more children's lives, which is every reason I put myself through this every single day. Thank you as always, and let's get started. So, consecutive day 1425, the diary of a runpreneur. And today we're talking about coping mechanisms for stress, and in particular talking and therapy, and how that can help get your stress levels under control. So the reason we're discussing this today, this is part of the kind of draft publishing journey of my new book, which is yet to be launched, which is The Stacking Stool System for Success, the diary of a runpreneur. And we're talking about the health stool, the health level here, the health stool, and the kind of three foundational pillars being, or legs of the stool being, physical health, mental health, and the third one, coping mechanisms for stress. So we're into the section on coping mechanisms for stress, and this is the first of several kind of subtopics I'll be covering over the next few days. But today is probably the one that means, or is most relevant to me personally, and that is talking or therapy. So first and foremost, let's kind of dissect what happens a little bit more with stress, or just from my personal perspective. Well, we all live busy lives. It's all relative to your own personal circumstances, so what's busy for one is very different to what's busy for someone else, and we shouldn't compare. But the reality is, it's how we feel which is where stress kind of kicks in. But the reality is vast majorities of us struggle with the day-to-day busyness of life, whether that's to do with our families, to do with our friendship groups, our relationships, our vocations, careers, works, finances, you name it. It could be any area of life, could come with its own stresses and pressures. So what happens when we get stressed? Generally speaking, when we're feeling stress, we don't function as optimal or as productive as we normally would. We can often freeze, we can suffer with anxiety and overwhelm, and if we don't have a process for sorting those issues regarding around stress, it can work a little bit like pressure building up in a pipe. And this is a pretty kind of common analogy that people use. If you don't release or relieve the pressure in the pipe will maintain so much, and then it will burst. And what we mean, just going past someone, just bear with me a second. So what we mean in this regard is when the pipe bursts, it would be a mental health breakdown. Could result in panic attacks, could come out in all different types of kind of examples of when you have a mental health breakdown. But ultimately, it's going to be incredibly detrimental to your mental health and well-being. So one of the ways that I keep this under control is through talking. So from personal experience, there is no coincidence that my life has been on an amazing trajectory ever since I started this running vlog. So yes, it's the big purpose behind it when I set it up originally was to do with saving the lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultra marathon, to raise £1 million to save the lives of children. That's ultimately why I started, but the byproduct of it has been so profound in my life. This vlog. So the run in itself is, I'll come on to about coping mechanisms for stress in a later episode, but it's like the running and the vlogging and being in nature, it's like super stacking lots of different coping mechanisms which kind of compound and work together, which create a kind of super coping mechanism, if that makes sense. And so it's the vlog process which combined with the running being in nature and the tranquility that nature can bring, this kind of calming environment, plus I'm kind of exercising and, you know, being really positive endorphins and dopamine boosts and everything for my mental health by exercise. But then I just unload. So this is my release valve in the pressure that builds up in the pipe. Because I do it every single day, it keeps me so grounded. And the biggest skill here, or the biggest benefit of this whole process, is that because I'm doing it every day, I'm finding equilibrium every day. So I could have the worst day ever. Now we all have them. We all have days that we believe to be the best ever. We have days to be the worst ever, and we have days of everything in between. But the reality is, I was once told a really, really important piece of advice by one of my business mentors of old, Mark Homer, and he said, if you get good news, great, celebrate it 100%, but just bear in mind it's probably not that good. And on the flip side, if you get bad news and you think your world's falling apart, I'm sorry, you know, take some time to kind of reflect, but it's probably not that bad. And what he meant by that was keeping a balanced kind of equilibrium in terms of your mental resilience and stability. And there's no better way that I found of doing that than just talking through my experiences. Now, yes, this is a vlog and it goes out in the public domain, and yes, nobody talks back to me directly unless it's a comment when it gets published, but quite often when the episodes are published, there's a big lag between when the actual event has happened, so it's often too late to kind of benefit the situation. The benefit has already happened in the process of me unloading my emotions, my mental baggage, the stresses and pressures, the anxieties, the overwhelm of daily life. I've unloaded them through the process of talking, and that's been so profound in my world, that especially as I'm self-diagnosed, but very, very confident that I have all the kind of common symptoms of someone who has ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. I hate the fact that it's called a disorder because I see it as a superpower, but anyway, I'll talk about that in different episodes. But I think in particular has helped the way my brain works, because it's got so much going around in it at such a high velocity, that being able to talk and just share my emotions, and quite often I keep them at high level, because obviously this is going out to the public domain, so there will be occasions where I share very intimate kind of secrets, but quite often there'll also be situations. There's a dog coming here, just need to thanks a lot, cheers mate. Very friendly looking dog, but anyway, I quite often share intimate secrets of my private life that I'm prepared to share, and there's certain situations where I won't share private information, especially if it's not my own information, it's somebody else's. But the reality is, it's the process where I can still talk how I'm feeling. I can still talk through my emotions, and what that enables me to do is to just feel like I've released them. Like, you hear quite commonly that the problem with grieving something, so if a situation happens that's negative, normally we talk about the grieving process around loss of life, but you can grieve other situations as well. And quite often, a lot of people don't know how to grieve. So they'll lose a loved one and they'll bottle up all their emotions, and it builds up and up and up and up, and eventually they'll break down. And this is like a daily kind of ritual of grieving, not even grieving negative news, but also celebrating positive news. And what it does is, it's like, woohoo, yes, that's great, or oh no, that's really bad, and I feel really bad. But then once I've done that, it pulls me back to kind of level equilibrium, so that come the next day, I'm ready to go again without carrying forward the baggage that kind of comes. Certainly, it's more detrimental to carry negative baggage forward, but it's also can kind of create complacency if you're carrying positive energy forward. So by celebrating it or grieving the negative news at the time, it allows you to find equilibrium again before you start the next day. And that's been hugely powerful. On the flip side, when I talk about therapy, therapy is obviously generally associated with a two-way conversation, so you're getting feedback on how you're feeling, and that's super powerful for people who need that kind of feedback and advice. I've always been fairly good at kind of problem solving and working things out, self-taught, self-learning, personal development. So I've found just unloading allows me to dissect and analyse what's happening, and kind of come to my own kind of opinions. And I have a really nice section of every daily vlog, which is the learnings from my diary, which is basically what have I learned from what I've spoken about, and that's a really good way of reflecting on what's actually happened. So therapy is often a really, really good way for people who really struggle with this. I've become quite good at this now because I've done it for the best part of 4 years straight, every single day. But yeah, the key thing here is there's no coincidence that my life has been on such a positive trajectory since starting this vlog, which is my therapy, which is my unloading of the daily stresses, which is my coping mechanism for stress. So the learnings from my diary for today are that pressure burst pipes, and when we're using this analogy, that's the build-up of stress, overwhelm, anxiety on our mental health. If we don't unload it or have a release mechanism or a coping mechanism, which I'm referring to today, it can lead to mental health breakdowns. And my go-to in this area of coping with large quantities and volume of stress, overwhelm, anxiety, is my daily vlog. It allows me to unload my emotions, my feelings. It allows me to celebrate my wins. It allows me to grieve my losses. And but I can reflect on what's happening every day and kind of deal with it there and then, process it, gain clarity, and then I can actually move on. So I can maintain a level of equilibrium and kind of stability in my mental health and well-being. So try it. It's been absolutely game-changing for me. I mean, you can even do your own vlog and not publish it, keep it completely private, keep it as your diary, but video diaries. Because I think some people will choose to write, and I'll come to this as in a later episode about writing or listening or watching even. But for me to verbalise has been so helpful. So you can try this yourself, just with a simple phone camera, or you can simply do this to the mirror, or you can simply just sit in your room and talk to yourself. But some people feel that that's could be the start of something regarding insanity, but I completely disagree. People used to think that people talking to themselves is a sign of madness, but it could just be their coping mechanism, and if that keeps them mentally stable and gives them equilibrium, then in actual fact, people who think that they're actually mad or insane could be very, very mistaken. So anyway, that's it for me today. I hope that's useful. Any questions or comments, drop me a line. I will respond to everyone. But do please remember, if you believe in my mission of saving lives of children by attempting the ultimate ultramarathon of run vlogging on consecutive days, barefoot style, the distance of a lap of the world, please do give this a subscribe, share, like and comment. Any engagement reaches more people, raises more money, which ultimately saves more children's lives, which is every reason why I put myself through this every single day. Thank you as always for your support. Stay positive, stay happy. See you again tomorrow.